that better? There we go. For some reason, my headphones were uh, on mute, so slightly unhelpful. Welcome to the stream. For anyone who is watching not live, welcome. We are going to be continuing our work on our illustration for Dungeon Meshi that we started last week. The goal for today is to finish up the line art, get the background in. I want to finish it, but I'm thinking this might be a 3-stream process, but at the very least it'd be nice to get some block coloring down. That would be good. So last week we worked on the line art, or we worked on the sketch, the line art, and now we're going to be continuing. So I think that's all I need to introduce. So let's get started then. Just make sure we're on the correct layer here. It would be really bad if I start drawing on the wrong layer. Not fun. Also help if I was using correct brush. I think it'll be a pretty chill stream. I don't think there's like too much thinking work I need to do. Just need to go over the lines and make sure everything makes sense. Alright, welcome to anyone who has joined. I hope your week has been going well. Mine's been pretty chill. Week before I was running a camp, or at least I guess technically yes I was running it, but I didn't organize it. I was just teaching it. It was like a camp for children. So now that that's over, my time has definitely been freed up a bit. It's kind of surprising how much time something can take up, even if it's only a couple hours. This week was nice. Sibling came home. I had a good birthday dinner. My favorite restaurant. Overall, very good time. Trying to think if this sandal has a bit of a platform. I'm not sure it does. I think it's just normal sandal behavior. Whatever normal sandal behavior is. It still feels kind of crazy to me that Marcel just walks around in sandals. Like, I am 100% sure the author had a very specific reason why Marcel wears sandals instead of boots. I just have no idea why. Can't just be for aesthetics, because it... From what I understand of this illustrator, need to re-look up her name. I'm not remembering her name at the top of my head at the moment, but all of her designs have some other reason to them, not just for purely aesthetic reason, but there's usually another reason why. There was even one point where she had like looked at the design for Marcel's little overcoat and cloak portion and realized it didn't really work with a backpack, so then she came up with a little design for herself for the reason how it would work. So I feel like the person like that, she would have a reason for the sandals. So this is another Google opportunity. I feel like this is another Google opportunity. Alright, hold on. Gonna look this up real quick or else it's gonna bother me. Why does Marcel wear sandals? Other people have this question. She's finally here. Okay. Well, the AI result said it was so that she could seem more carefree, which does sound intriguing. And I guess if you're like walking on stone all the time, you wouldn't necessarily need a super heavy boot all the time, especially if you're hopefully working from a distance most of the time. You don't necessarily want to just rely on the I don't want to necessarily rely on the AI answer though, because sometimes that answer is not always right. It is ubiquitous for her often to panic and deny things that disturb her. Okay, yeah, alright. This might be a little bit more of a deep dive than I'm currently wanting to do, so we'll leave it there, and her wanting to be a bit more carefree for her outfit, but there's probably other reasons too. Who knows? Maybe it's just easier for her. Maybe there's some rituals that require her to be more in tune with the ground? Or that sounds like an earthbender. I guess it's really up to her. Some people just walk around in Birkenstocks all the time, so why wouldn't sandals why would sandals be an issue? We'll try and do this armor justice. Wonder what specifically she used as a reference for the armor? It's like general English armor. I don't know. Just different styles. She could have different things that inspired this. I just need to make it look somewhat like chainmail. Wondering how much his other leg is going to be covered up by Senshi. I think pretty well. I don't think I have to draw too much of his other leg. Okay, so like for a little bit there, I was drawing a lot of linked universe, or at least I was consuming a lot of linked universe content, and I drew time a couple times. And those boots never failed to make me crack up because it looks like a slight mirroring of his hair just with the bangs. I don't know, I thought it was slightly silly. Alright, time to draw Senshi in all of his glory. You know what? I'm still thinking about that Changeling episode, and I'm wondering if that episode was also the author's favorite. 'Cause she did a lot of outside work that had nothing to do with the episode. Like, she did a lot of artwork just exploring the different races and how the character designs would change if the character was a different race. She did a lot of those. A lot of them that weren't going to be seen in the show or at the time the manga at all. So I'm wondering if that one's her favorite episode. Or at least one of her favorites. It was certainly mine. I just think it's neat. See, I'm doing the lining here, and it really just is illustrating to me how much I don't close my lines, which is fine for an illustration because I usually just hand color anyway and I don't use a bucket tool. But I cannot do that with the animation that I'm working on. That, in fact, will not be a good idea. That is the direct opposite of what I need to be doing. Huh, that's a good thought. Are you referring, sorry, the chat is a little bit lag, so if I move on to a different topic, sometimes I don't know what you're referring to, but I'm gonna assume that you're meaning my theory that the Changeling episode is the creator's favorite episode. I'm gonna have to pay special attention to the lines when I'm doing the animation. Because we do not want to be hand coloring that entire thing. No, we are going to vectorize. We're going to vectorize him and then go from there. Too many frames. I thought it took me forever to color the like 30-second animation I did. Would be even worse with him. I'm thinking it's gonna be 1:40, but I don't know. I'm working my way through the animatic currently, and I'm already at 40 seconds, and I have not. I've just reached the third row of my storyboard. I have a storyboard, like a physical storyboard, up just on a thing of cardboard. So I've gotten through the first 2 rows, which have 6 cards in them each. So, like, it's not quite halfway through, but, like, I'd say I'm a little less than a fourth of the way through the storyboard. I'm already at 40 seconds. Slightly concerning. Here's to hoping it's not longer than 2 minutes, because if it's longer than 2 minutes, it's going to take me a while to... Because I want to do the whole shebang with this animation. I want to color it. I want to have Foley work with it. I want to do compositing. I haven't done compositing before, so that will be intriguing. And I'll definitely need to look that up. But I want to... A short film, that's all. So here's to hoping it's not longer than 2 minutes. I mean, I have complete control on how long it is. Mostly. I guess the thing that I'm concerned about is, will I have to cut content in order to get it to the length I want it to be? Make sure to draw his armpit hair, because I think we can all agree that Senshi does not shave. Evidently, this man just lets his hair do what it wants. He wasn't even washing his beard until Marcel came along and was like, you gotta take care of your hair. If you don't take care of it, I can't cast spells on you. It's like, good. I didn't want that. He did it inadvertently, but I swear, if he wasn't traveling with a magic group and just happened upon that knowledge on his own, that choice would have been more deliberate. I could totally see him magical. It wasn't like a complete turnaround on his opinion of magic, but pre his character development on accepting some bits of magic, he totally would have applied that bit of knowledge in order to avoid getting cast by spells. About that. I know it's not ideal for, like, if you're trying to have a helpful spell, but I wonder if that is a good way to avoid getting cursed or having malicious spells cast on you by just making sure that your hair is unwashed. I guess depending on the person, whether or not the... Does it seem like... It would definitely dampen the effects of the magic. The magic still has somewhat an effect, so it wouldn't be the best shield. I guess it just depends on the person whether or not that method would really be worth it. This is the thing I love about Dungeon Meshi the most, is just how much thought and world building was put into it, to the point where you can speculate on your own and then continue on the world building on the aspects she just didn't end up getting to. I think it's very fun. I'm drawing him holding this pan, and it's full of soup, and I assumed they were going to eat it, but they didn't get the chance. I assume. I'm making this thing. I'm deciding the story. So, they're making soup. There's no way Senshi would be able to hold this thing with his bare hands. It's a really conductive pot. It evenly heats the soup very well. I think I need to draw him, like, I think he needs to be holding a cloth. He needs something. Else it's not going to make sense whatsoever that he's holding this pot with no repercussions towards his hands. Need to be at least double folded. Ooh. This is not from my D&D project. No, this is Dungeon Meshi. So it's an anime on Netflix about a group of adventurers who need to go down and save one of their party members from being eaten by a dragon. And they don't have a lot of supplies. So in order to save time and be able to travel faster, relatively, they go around eating creatures from the dungeon. So it's half a cooking show and also half a fantasy story. It's probably one of my favorite animes. Hence why we're making fan art of it. We're also making fan art of this because I want to make prints of this for Comic-Con. Because I'm going to be participating in the Artist Alley, and I want it at least one piece of fan art to sell. Most of the stuff I have prepped or in mind for this, for that event, is original work, which is fine, but also I feel like I should take advantage of the atmosphere and also create something that I enjoy and others enjoy. Also, I'm glad you get to join this time. I know you were, at least one of you, weren't able to join the last couple times due to other obligations, responsibilities, school. Sure what kind of soup this is. I could draw little random hunks of things floating around in it. Can't make them evenly spaced or else this is gonna start looking weird. Good soup. Good soup. These droplets aren't quite looking like they're... I might need to play around with the physics of this. They don't quite look like they're sloshing out of the pot. Don't quite know if that's hitting the mark either. Probably needs a bit more dynamics from both sides. As things rise on one area, dips in the other. slightly see-through on that side, maybe? I don't know. Probably have it opaque just for my sanity. Soup. I think that's pretty good. It's definitely looking like it's being affected more by running around. Hello! Welcome to the stream. Not super into anime, but Dungeon Meshi is easily my favorite. Yeah, like, sometimes it's either not adapted well or the story ends up being very formulaic because the writers and the animators aren't given enough time to really give it the thought that it needs. You can definitely see in Dungeon Meshi how much the creator cares and how much work she put into the writing of it. It's like one of the main reasons why I love it so much is just how much thought she put into it. I think the funniest little tidbit is a lot of the foods that is made in the show, she's actually kind of picky with what she eats. Or at least, if I'm remembering correctly. So then, a lot of the foods that are animated or made in the show is just her trying to experience them secondhand while also not wanting to eat them at all, which I think is really funny. She has the stiffest little skirt. It acts as better armor that way if it's stiffer, because then you get the layers. Certainly makes drawing the physics of it kind of funny. I completely forgot the fact that the armor on his ankles slash shins, there is, as far as I'm aware, there's no padding. It is just the straight up metal. Metal against skin. Which I get the feeling would not be comfy. He's also wearing sandals. Why is he wearing sandals? I can get behind Marcel wearing sandals. She seems like the type. Need a little bit more explanation from Senshi, though. Why are you wearing sandals, buddy? What has... What has you so inclined to wear something without toes? You do enough gardening work with golems that I would think you would want some sort of toe protection. I guess if he was worried about it, he would change his footwear, so maybe it's not that big an issue for him. Toes? What toes? It's just the vague impression of them. Also, I think I have a rock drawn right here. So me putting a bunch of extra details into the toes is actually quite pointless. I'm glad you're enjoying the drawing. I'm having a pretty good time making it. Close to finishing the line art. So at that point, we could work on the background. Isn't that exciting? I still don't know what I'm gonna do for the background. We'll just find out eventually. Was Laios? I think he had, like, hi, welcome. I'm trying to remember if Laios... He must, right? He has to have something on his forearms. I love spelling. Spelling's great. That was not it. Okay. Laios... He's not spelling that correctly. Yes, he does have arm guards. Okay. Makes sense. A man who practically is wearing a turtleneck to protect his neck would definitely wear a shin guard. Shin guard. They're not quite gauntlets. Forearm guards, I guess. Oh, it's interesting. He's not wearing gloves. I think the only one who wears gloves regularly, and they're like little fingerless gloves, is Chilchuck. Never do you learn more about a character design until you start drawing them yourself, and then wondering about all of the decisions the other artist made to get to this point. Maybe it's for ease of animation or ease of drawing. Because I could see it where if Senshi or Laios was wearing gloves, you would have to at some point show them taking off the gloves in order to cook. And yeah, I think after a point, you establishing that they take off their gloves to cook, meaning that you don't have to show it every time, but I think it was probably just visually distracting enough that she just decided to do away with having the gloves altogether. Because I could imagine for an adventure party, you might want to wear gloves. But since the main focus of the show is cooking, it's probably why Chilchuck's the only one to really have gloves. Because I think he's the one who does the least amount of cooking out of all the group. That's a counter you need. Yes, turtleneck. An armored turtleneck. How else am I supposed to describe it? Give me another good description for it. Okay. So I think characters themselves, good. Might just need to extend Laios' leg down a bit. Armor, kind of like that. And I think I can leave the rest of it, maybe? Yeah, I think it just looks better if I leave it. Still haven't decided what to do for the background. I could do framing device. I don't want to leave them out in empty space, because that's not fun. So I think I accidentally used a thicker line on Senshi than I did on everyone else, because he's looking a little bit a touch bit sturdier than the rest of us. I'm also not sure if I'm liking this leg. The left leg for him. Technically, I think it would be his right. Maybe it's just because I drew that cover, so maybe I just need to go back over this. Granted, I also think I'm gonna have a rock here, so I don't think it really matters. Yeah, I think I'm having a rock there anyway. We don't really need that. Yeah, I would fix that though if I wasn't just gonna be covering it up anyway. Since I am covering it up, what's the point? Well, I guess you guys know now, but like, there's really no point to fixing it if it's not going to be visually seen. And then we can have a wall. I'm thinking brick-like. Not. Which is covering up Laios's foot, which is a true shame because that foot's fantastic. I, I I am quite happy with how his boot turned out. Maybe I'll just shorten that wall. You know, show off a little bit more of the structure of his foot. Because I quite like that foot. That didn't sound right. I quite like how the shape of his boot came out. It might end up just visually being awkward if I try and get more of his foot showing though. So Senshi doesn't get full pose privileges, then I guess Laios doesn't either. Try and get like a little bit of perspective in here. Don't know how. I have to mess around with the outside drawing just a touch to get the FX that I want. Rick. Because it's this close, I'll need to draw all of the bricks. I'm drawing something a little farther away. I don't usually draw all of the bricks because it's not needed. Don't need to render all of them. Not necessary. Just a visual distraction at some point. Does this wall make the most visual sense? No. Is that okay? We will see how it looks. He's allowed to be beat up. It's fine. Nobody's perfect. Add some textures in here. Little dots and pits. It is going to be rather close up. Having a bit of line art rendering would probably be good. Brick is not being a good brick. For strength purposes, the lines need to not match up. If they match up, visually it looks wrong. It's probably not as strong. I guess I need to... It's really the only thing left is to decide what the heck I'm doing for the background. I believe in my sketch I have some pillars framing. I could do a wall in the back, making it kind of look like the area where they run around in that maze, essentially. I do not know if I want that. I'll have to be decisive at some point. Cannot dawdle forever. First, let's see if visually this looks correct when the other lines aren't getting in the way. I drew this characters on a different line art layer than the background. That way, it's easy enough to color over it. I think I'll be able to get to the color today, as long as the background doesn't take me too long. Alright. Cool. How are we thinking the line art's looking? It's looking pretty good so far. Having the elements in the front help push the characters back a little bit, which is good. Thank you! So I think I drew Marcel's eyebrows wrong. Yeah, 'cause the way they're drawn currently, I think it's making her look concerned rather than concentrated. which was my issue last time, I think. So it's like, why is she not looking mad? Yeah. I drew the eyebrows the wrong way the last time. I was totally working with an 18-point brush last time on Marcel. So Marcel, most of her is drawn with 18. And since she's drawn with 25. Oh, buddy. Okay, he's a dwarf. Just adds a little bit of sturdiness to him. We're gonna call this a deliberate design decision. Mistake, it's just a happy accident. Alright. I think I procrastinated enough. Time to figure out what to do for the background. I could do the pillars. The pillars aren't bad. Most of the focus I want it to be on the characters anyway, so I could just push the pillars back with darker coloring and having the background be dark in general. That'll help capture... I think that'll help capture the dungeon's essence, I believe. Having them be tall, help them not feel too closed in, but being able to see the ceiling will hopefully help give off the sense that we're in an enclosed space and not can't just go wherever you willy-willy. Where was I going with that? I do not know. Just keep going forward. Maybe I can have something organic. That way I don't have to draw perfect rigid lines. Because if there's something organic growing on something, I'll soften up the edges, make it look older, and then I don't have to worry about drawing a perfect arch. It's the perfect plan. Who wants to draw a perfectly made arch when you can just draw moss? Moss is lovely. There's so many little bumps. And words. What word am I thinking of? I don't know. We're just gonna continue drawing moss. Moss. That's all that's in my brain right now. It's simply just moss. Colors were pretty quick to draw. Just need to give them a starting point. Someone to sit. I drew that down a bit too far for comparing it to the other one. We can give the illusion up. Maybe cobblestone? Cobblestone could be good. I would need something somewhat fancy. I don't want to continue drawing rectangles, so having something round instead, I think would be a good compromise. Depending on how flat or cobblestone can get very intricate. I think Minecraft has tricked us into thinking it's like a cheap way to pave your road that doesn't look quite good, but like it can get pretty darn intricate. To the point that it starts turning into a mosaic. Those, I think, are my favorite. Just need a little bit more moss. And I think I'll be good. Love moss. Great snack. You know, I've never tried moss as a snack, so I'll have to take your word on it. I personally can't imagine it would be the best snack, but if you say it's tasty, I'll just have to take your word for it. Due to the weather, I don't really have free access to moss. The only moss that I have somewhat access to is in Frank's terrarium. But that's Frank's moss. That's not my moss. So we'll leave Frank to have his moss. If you're wondering who Frank is, that's my pet spider. He's a jumping spider. He's the cutest little guy. Just a little man. I think I need to keep the moss kind of high, actually. Because if I keep it, I can't let it interrupt what's going on with the group visually. It just can't be there. Yeah, that's better. There probably is mosses that grow in low light environments, because I imagine this dungeon's not the brightest thing at times. I am curious about that. What color would moss be? Is this too much moss? I'm looking at this and wondering if this is too much moss. Maybe it just feels like too much moss at the moment because it's all the same value? It'll probably be pushed back a little bit and not as prevalent when I do the coloring. We'll keep it as is. I can always erase it later if it's too much. Wait, well, it's only been an hour. I got the line art done. That's fantastic. That just means we can move on to coloring. I'm doing a little stretchy stretch first before I move on to the coloring. Stop being so curled up. Head spider. I love spiders. I'm also slightly afraid of them. That is fair. Some spiders are not good news. Frank, however, is very nice. He's a jumping spider. And he's like about the size of my pinky fingernail. He's pretty small, but his legs have a little bit of chalk to them. I looked away for a few minutes to make myself a cup of tea, and I came back to there being shapes in the background. It looks so good. Also, moss in low light areas I believe are usually darker. I would imagine so. I wouldn't imagining them being very lightly colored, or at least bright in color. They'd either be really light or dark. Because I think that's what happens with plants when they don't have a lot of light. They start looking red and not as vibrant. Pretty sure anyway. Alright. Moss and low light. Moss and caves? Question mark? Caves. Hello?
I was like wondering where you went, and then I realized.
Yeah.
Where's it gone?
Currently looking up moss.
Oh,
Yeah, I drew some moss.
I like your moss.
Thanks. And I was trying to determine what color it would be if it was in a cave, or in this case, a dungeon.
I like how it is.
I like it too.
Energy. How many viewers do you have?
Currently, I have about 4. Earlier, I had 6.
Hello, viewers.
This is my sibling. They're back from college for a little bit. Yeah, I think I'll just color them a darkish green color.
You can do the center and the tallest bits green, and then more towards the bottom and the edges it'd be brown.
I would normally agree with you, but they're in a dungeon, so it's essentially a big cave system where the higher it is doesn't necessarily
I mean higher as in furthest away from whatever it's attached to. Just thinking about how moss physiology is. So it's got not roots, but similar structures that attach, and those are brown. And then the sporophyte, the part that comes up and actually receives the light, that's the part that turns green. So whatever furthest away from the wall is going to be green.
Okay. They're asking how you are.
I am doing decent.
Yeah?
Yeah, I just played Father in a bunch of game, that square game with the blocks.
Genius Square?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that game.
I think I won a majority, but we weren't counting.
That's fair. Were you at least timing yourself with the timer? No. Fair enough.
Done. And then you sit there and watch the other person struggle with the piece that you sold in 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Joyful Bee, Chalk Bonsai. Are these the returning viewers that come back all the time?
Not all of them. Greg is a return viewer as well as Buttermilk. Joyful Bean is new, I believe. Chalk Bonsai is definitely new. So. About an hour.
I'll let you get back to it.
All right.
Check and see how the drawing is looking.
Sounds good.
I like the line work on this one.
Thank you.
I like the variation and like the weight on the character specifically. Anyways, bye viewers.
And with that, let's move on to the color. Dark. And we can lighten it up from there. I will probably need to set mayhaps. I think the line art's dark enough that I don't necessarily need to add a multiply layer on top. Maybe? Wow. Maybe I do. I think I might. Just for all of our sanity, let's set the line art layer on multiply so we can actually see the darn thing. There we go. Now it's visible. Isn't that better? My computer's having a fantastic time with that brush. I am currently taking the lasso tool and grabbing the pillar. It's probably not visible for you for me doing this, but it'll be really satisfying when I color it in. It is not perfect, but that's okay, because I can erase some of it. Not that you can see what I'm doing. For that, I apologize. Alright. This is where it gets fun. Just lighten that up a bit. I feel like that should be grayer. Fortunately, this does not need to be perfect because some of the characters are covering it up. We'll go through at the end, or at least after I color in the characters to make sure things are good. That should be fine for now. A little bit lighter. Just okay, a little bit lighter. Just a little. Actually, I think I need to Control Shift. Reselect that, and then we can grab a soft brush. Let me. Yes. Please. Please. Grab a soft brush and darken the edges of it. Like so. That way it'll push it out. Oh wait, so the characters... Probably do a vignette on this as well, but I need to push it back a bit so the characters look like they're running through a space and not into a wall. Because that's not desirable. I might need to do some color correction on this. The background might be the thing that I'm most concerned about. I might need to darken up the edges of the background. Not to be a distraction from this very important art-based thinking, but this can be a question for any and all. What was the coolest thing you learned this past week? You are completely fine to ask me somewhat distracting questions. I actively encourage it. Makes it more of a conversation and less of me talking to myself. Okay, coolest thing I learned this week. So I've been reading a book. Called The Tipping Point. And I thought it was very intriguing because it was talking about the way that small changes can be made. Even if it's like... Okay, so one of the coolest things that they brought up was there's like a link between depression and smoking. In depression, people self-medicate with cigarettes to help out their depression. So when they're trying to quit smoking, it's even harder than it normally would be because it's a tool of self-medication for them. So if they essentially stop taking their antidepressants, well, that's not great. And so because of that, one way they found to help treat it was to have like a specific drug that simulates the same areas of the brain that smoking does. And it helps make quitting easier for people. It's not 100% surefire way, but it makes it easier. And I thought that was really cool. And more attention should be brought to it because it was like such a simple change. And then an even better change to help make it where less people get addicted in the first place, because it's not an immediate thing of getting addicted to smoking. It's like a gradual thing. You start leaning on it more and more, and then by the time that you either think about quitting or like, it's not even that, it's just, yeah, it's like if they were to just decrease the amount of nicotine that's in an average cigarette, that way it's a little less addictive at first. That way, for the teenagers who try it because they want to be cool or whatever, they're less likely to get addicted when they finish. But of course they wouldn't want that. So it definitely have to be a regulation and not something on the tobacco company's part. So why would they want their loyal... Yeah, so... That was probably one of the cooler things I learned this week, was just how small of a change you would actually need to make in order to help lessen the amount of teen smokers. I have another book too that I got from the library. I haven't read it yet. I was finishing up the other book, but the book is called Sing Like Fish: How Sound Rules Life Underwater. Because we just don't have the capability of hearing underwater, so we don't really acknowledge it as much. So I'm sure one of the things they're going to get into in this book is not only how like rich the sound culture is for animals under the water, but another human problem of not only just boats being in the water can sometimes harm animals, but also the noise. I'm sure that will be brought up. It's such a lovely thing. Anytime I do research on the human, on any human issue, or at least any industry, there's some sort of human issue that has come to head because I guess all of the things on Earth are just, we've enjoyed all of the luxuries and the ideas that come from innovation, but it's been long enough that it seems like every single industry is having some sort of issue crop up that wasn't previously an issue until now. It's slightly depressing though, so we don't need to talk about that. Trying to think if I learned anything else cool this week. Kind of knew this already, but it was really honed in to me on Tuesday. It's like, teaching children can be easy if they want to learn from you. If they don't want to learn from you, however, teaching can be very hard. I have a part-time job where I run art projects for kids. I had a previous group of kids where I don't blame them at all because it's the end of the day. They want to go home. They're tired. Some of the parents signed them up for this class because they just wanted an extra couple minutes at home. So it's not their fault, but that group of kids was a lot antsier and harder to teach than the current group of kids I have at the moment. So it was partly my inexperience that was making that difficult, but then also the kids they just wanted to move, they just wanted to run. I can't blame them. They didn't have recess that day because they had like snow day, because it was too icy outside. Was not a good combination for teaching an art project. Maybe the vignette can be something in cool tone, like around the edges, more of like a dark blue, so I could like use the color layering for that. The warm is definitely pushing this forward. So if I just use a color layer to make it cooler as it goes farther back, It'll probably help push things back a bit. Definitely need that to be dark. Yeah, that's better. The other color was a bit too saturated. Very fair, yeah. What sorts of art projects have you found the most fun to teach? Honestly, it wasn't even an art project. It was a science project. But it was really rewarding teaching the kids about ciphers. There was only 2 of them, so it was a bit easier of a class to teach. And it helped that the kids were engaged. But it was really satisfying showing them how the cipher worked, and then designing them like a little puzzle to test out how decoding a cipher would work, and then listening to them as they audibly figured out the problem. And I was hearing bit by bit when they're like, oh yeah, it's this one and this one, so it's spelling out this word. That was really satisfying to hear them incrementally figure out what the message was saying. I'd say that's been the most rewarding project so far. But I think the first project was a contender for also being satisfying, because I had no idea what I was doing, and I was concerned I wasn't going to be able to do it. I was nervous about it. Then to have them complete the project at the end and be happy with it, that was pretty nice. That was pretty satisfying. Let's mess with the hue of that a bit. Wanted to give it the sense that it was continuing going backwards. It didn't stop right there. We are ready to color in the moss. I think I'm gonna pretty much match the tone. Give it a slightly different hue towards green. It'll probably be pretty muted. Slightly darker. There we go. This is good enough color. Stands out a bit, but not too much. Oh, I'm getting so close to finishing the color blocking for the characters of the picture book that I'm working on. I have two more spreads to do. Then I'll have it all color blocked. And from there, I can just do the rendering. I think that's pretty much the book finished. I'm getting very close to finishing that book, which will be nice. So hopefully when it goes out, it catches someone else's attention. I get another book project from that. I really like making books. It's a good in-between for animation, because I love animation, but also creating animation is a little bit of a different beast. So I find picture books, on some extent graphic novels, to be a good in-between, where you can tell a story, but it won't take forever. Hard question. What is your least favorite thing about D&D? Oh wait, alas, I must now bid you adieu. Thank you for hearing my questions. I wish you a wonderful time of day that is relevant. Thank you! I hope you have a good time of day that is relevant for you as well. And yeah, I really enjoyed answering the questions. So, you guys can continue asking them. Hard question. What is your least favorite thing about D&D? I think this would be pretty specific to DMing. I think my least favorite thing about that is when you design something and you think it's really good and great, but then your players run through it really quickly, or they don't go into the same depth, which is fine, because sometimes it just wasn't right for the moment. This might be a me-specific issue, or I just write more nuance into the story, and it might not be approached in the way, because I think that might just be a new DM thing or newish DM thing, where you just need to learn how much story is too much story and how much story is not enough story. Yeah. It'd be hard to find the balance, because you don't want to control the characters. You don't want to control your players by railroading them into a story that's already been predetermined, but then also you want to give them some lore that they can explore, make the world intriguing. Though if we're talking purely mechanical, I think depending on how much you do at fighting is probably one of my least favorite things about D&D. Like it could be fun. It can be fun to do a fight, but if it's endless fighting over and over and over again, that gets really monotonous for me. And thankfully my players also find it to be really monotonous, so we don't do a lot of fighting. But it's going to be really funny when I join a campaign where it seems like the DM is very into fighting, so it'll be really interesting to see how we as players try and avoid fighting when the DM themselves really enjoys it. How have you been doing today, Alyssa? I've been doing pretty good. Had a pretty chill day. And now we're doing this, so that's fun. Has your day been good? Hope it has. Getting the background so far. Getting the depth that I wanted from it. I'll definitely need to add some texturing to the columns though, because right now it's looking pretty flat. But I think we can save that for... I think we can color the characters first. Because we have the mood set out. So that'll definitely affect how the colors look. I think I'm gonna use Marcille's light. I think I'll have her not only be casting a light spell, so we have a light source, which will definitely affect the background a bit, but then also her trying to cast a spell, I think should also be casting a light source. That way, they're not just completely running around the dark, because we don't want that. So I think I'll just do a base color first, that way I can see the characters, and then we can move on from there. Just need to find the line art layer. There's the line art layer. I might turn off the back. Let's group the background and then turn it off so I can see what I'm doing, because I'm having a hard time seeing. If I'm having a hard time seeing, you might actually be having an easier time than me. New group from layers. And we can turn all of that off. There we go. Now we can see. This is better. We'll turn it back on for when we're actually color picking. Trying to color the characters. But at the moment, I'm just trying to give them a bit of a clipping mask. So we don't need the background color tone for that. I'm glad you enjoy listening and watching me draw. It's always good when the when the content of the live stream is hitting all the right buttons. I'm just looking at the line art real quick to see if there's anything that I want to do a change on real quick before I commit to the coloring, because it's much easier to use the Liquify tool on just the line art versus having done a bunch of coloring and then realizing something doesn't look quite right here. Thank you. Glad you're enjoying the illustration. I'm enjoying it too. I'm just looking at Marcel's head, and I think I need to make that a bit bigger. I keep going back to it. So let's mess with that slightly. See if we can get that looking a bit closer to what I want. It's probably going to be a very tiny change. But I think I'll be good. Yeah, I think that looks better. Alright. Back to color blocking. Trying to think if I've done anything else interesting this week. I worked. I did some reading. Oh, I've been making great progress on the crows. So, one of the things I'm going to be selling at Comic-Con is some stuffed crows. They're weighted, and the goofy little guys. And I just recently learned, not this week, like when I started sewing the crows, but who knew that when sewing with a stretchy fabric, that you need to pay attention to how the fabric stretches. Because, very silly thing, depending on which way the fabric stretches will depend on how your pattern ends up looking. In this case, not that it's a bad thing, just something to know why it's happening. If the fabric is stretching to the side, the crows are going to end up being a little bit wider. If they stretch up, if the fabric stretches up, then the crows end up being a bit taller and closer to my pattern. I was like, for the longest time, I was wondering, why the heck are some of my crows just ending up fatter than the others? I didn't dislike them. Variation with the crows is good. It just adds a little bit of niche to it. And I don't know, people pick out their favorite crows when buying them, but I was just so confused on why it was happening. Turns out, you should definitely pay attention to the bias of the fabric when sewing with the stretchy fabric. I thought I was being so smart and just saving on my fabric by trying to stuff it was like making sugar cookies. I was trying to get it as close as possible and trimming as close as possible. And it was good when I met like by like, because then the crows were doing something like expected. But it was really funny when I accidentally mixed the two, where one side was stretching to the side and one was stretching up. So then the crow ended up having its head turned as if it was looking sideways, which that was actually kind of interesting how that happened. So I've been making, the goal is to make 42 crows. That sounds like a lot of crows, because it is. I'm going to have a lot of crows, just stuffed crows, sitting in my bedroom. I don't know where I'm going to end up storing the crows, but I'm going to have a lot of them. It will be good. I'm very excited. Currently, I have 5 of them, like, pretty much completely finished. I just need to sew on their feet. And then I have 1 that I need to sew on the eyes, 1 that I need to sew on the butt and the eyes, and then 8 darted. And I just need to sew around, well, I say just, they're like halfway through, where I need to sew around their body, and then sew on their butts and their eyes and their feet. I was considering one of the times, like probably a little bit closer to May, when the con is going to be happening, doing a live stream where I'm just sewing crows. Probably just this hand sewing part, because I think that will be audibly better for everyone involved if I just do the hand sewing part. But it could be a good time. Hello, Ruth. Welcome to the live stream. I'm glad you guys liked the sound of the crows. I have the time. I assume you have the time, yes? I assume you mean for creating the crows. And yes, I do have the time. I just need to pace myself. As in, I can't leave it till the last minute. Because it is reasonable to make 8 crows completely in 2 weeks. It is not reasonable to make 42 crows in 1. That would not be good. I love Dungeon Meshi, and I love your art. Safe to say I'm really happy right now. Oh, I'm very glad. I'm glad that I can bring you guys joy. Yeah. Yeah, I do a fair bit of sewing. I started sewing when I was pretty little. So my favorite toy as a child still is, not that I'm a child, but like, I enjoy stuffed animals. I really enjoy stuffed animals, especially the ones that are a little bit more realistic to the animal that they're basing it off of. So Webkins were my favorite things. And because of that, I don't know, I just really enjoyed playing with them. And I wanted to make them little outfits. So I started making them little outfits out of toilet paper. And my parents saw that, specifically my dad, and it was like, you cannot use the toilet paper to make your stuffed animals outfits. No. So then he taught me how to sew, so I'd stopped doing that. And I think I was about 8 at the time. So I've been sewing since then. I sewed a little bean plush. I think it's like pretty atomically correct bean, like size and all. He's very cute. Where's this Comic-Con at? Okay, so the Comic-Con that I'm attending is the Motor City Comic-Con that is located in Novi, Michigan. And that con is happening May 16th to the 18th. So if you guys want to come, you're more than welcome to come by and say hi. But you do not have to if you cannot. Yeah, don't feel pressured, but if you want to, it would be cool. One of this specific piece is one of the things I want to sell at the con. Fan art is, I don't know, not the main thing that is sold there, I think, but like there's a decent portion of selling that comes from fan art. So I figured I should have at least one that I was super happy with. If you cannot tell what I'm doing, I am lining around the edge so I can use the bucket tool to color the inside. I could have done this with the lasso tool, but I figured this would probably be a bit more visually interesting for you, so you can actually see what I'm doing. I used to make cloaks for my toys. Yeah, that was one of the things I like to sew. Those ones are pretty easy because most of them are just like circle skirts that you put around the neck instead of around the waist. I had a kangaroo that was pretty good for making stuffed animals for making clothes for, because they stood up a bit taller and they had a nice shape to them. That was not exactly human, but had more human proportions, so it's a bit easier to design clothing for them. here is where we test to see if I did my job correctly. Fantastic. I did it correctly. But that's all colored in. We can use that as a clipping mask. You can't see it, but I made a clipping mask of characters. Maybe perhaps I should I realized I probably should have turned on the background layer first before I fully committed to the clipping mask. So there's definitely some areas where I went outside the lines. Let's that is not the right brush. That is soft. We do not want a soft brush for cleaning up the lines. Or not cleaning up the lines, but cleaning up the background. Cleaning up my color blocking. You're enjoying the background. I'm enjoying it too. I could probably really push the darks, but I'm thinking I'll leave it a touch bit lighter just so it prints a bit better, because sometimes when you're printing darks, it doesn't do it the best. I found a printer that I think could work pretty well. I'm not like 100% certain on them yet, so I sent in a test piece. Coincidentally, that is my friend's Christmas present that I have yet to completely display. I drew me and my friends in an awkward family photo, which was fun, but half the present was to print it and then frame it, and I hadn't done that bit yet. So I figured I could use the Christmas present as a test tool for the print site to see if I actually liked it, or if I need it to look somewhere else. I hope that one works out well though, because the prices seem pretty reasonable. Do not be concerned. Do not be concerned about going over to the con if you cannot afford it. I do not expect anyone to go out of their way for that if they aren't able to or don't want to. That is completely fine. Just figured I could let you guys know. That way, if you were somewhere nearish the area, you have the chance. I'm pretty sure I'll like the experience because my school ran a little bit of a sale in December. So it was like I got a little bit of experience with selling things. Comic-Con will definitely be a different crowd, but I think the experience will be pretty similar. So I'm pretty sure I'll do more cons. Just, need to apply and get into them. I'm gonna start off small though, because they do take a decent amount of... You definitely have to invest a little bit into it before you can start making money. It's one of those cases where the saying, you gotta spend money to make money, actually applies. We'll start off small, and if it does reasonably well, then I'll probably amp up how many I go to. It would be a good way to meet with people, get to know more people outside of my college community. Right, now that we have that cleaned up, now we can use this as a clipping mask. Just out of curiosity, how many people do we actually... Oh! Wow! So, for reference, so you know exactly, how things are going, I have my OBS screen covering up the analytics side of the YouTube stream. That way I'm not, like, I have it pulled over in such a way so I can see chat, so I know when people are talking to me, but then I have it covered up so I don't see the numbers. So I had no idea that there was, like, 10 people watching. That is crazy. That is the highest amount of people I've had so far on a stream. Thank you so much for joining. It means a lot that you guys are intrigued and then interested to continue staying, so it is very nice. I'm thinking for this, it'll probably skew a little bit more towards the red side. So Marcel's cloak will probably not be purple, but more purple toned than her braided blue. I'm wondering if it seems like whenever I do stream, more people start coming in a little bit later. About an hour and a half in, it's usually where I get most of my viewers, so I'm wondering if that's when I should be streaming, or if that's just how YouTube goes about promoting streams. They start promoting them a little bit once they see that they're performing well. I do not know. I am not an expert. I think you have to be slightly insane to be an expert in the YouTube algorithm, honestly. It changes so often. This is feeling very similar to the picture book. Mostly because now we're on the step that I've been working on for the past 3 weeks now? Yeah, I think I've been color blocking for 3 weeks now. So it makes sense why this feels similar. Wait, this isn't enough people. Quick, everybody share this around. Let's get this artist at least. If you want to. I am perfectly fine for how many... I am perfectly fine for how many people join in. This is a way for me to interact with the people in my community. So it is very nice when a lot of people join, but even if I only had one viewer, I'd be happy, because that means someone is enjoying my work, which is really nice. You guys are very kind. I should probably get back to, usually I will advertise it day of, more towards the beginning of the day when I'm streaming. That way anyone who's subscribed to me knows. I didn't do that today because I just had a late start with doing things and I made the thumbnail kind of late. I just wanted to drop in and wish you guys a nice day, because test to study for. I wish you the best of luck with your test. No, those can be difficult at times. I paused for a second because I was pulling up a picture of Marcel. Who is my favorite dungeon Meshi? Chip? It's not... I think Chilchuck and Senshi are kind of silly, and I think that's fun, but I don't necessarily ship the characters all that much. I'm more in it for their silly, not quite found family dynamic. I think that's fun. Like, I think... Dang it. Is Zoot not... dang it. Why can't I remember her name? It's on the tip of my tongue. It's the poor girl who wants to not be a cat, but is really embodying the cat energy. Her and Chilchuck's silly interactions are really funny to me. I wish there was more content on AO3 of just them being silly little goobers. Mostly I just want more content of them messing around with the changelings. I think that is an underutilized aspect in the fandom, and I need more of it. I just think it's really silly when Chilchuck and Marcel are interacting, and he's like, look, see, I told you, I'm an adult man, and they're like, I knew that, like, logically, I knew that you were an adult man, but emotionally, it does not feel right. So those are my favorite interactions with the Dungeon Meshi characters. Yeah, friendship dynamic. I really enjoy pretty much all of the friendship dynamics in the show. So Fallon and Marcel, good ship right there. That's a good ship. Okay, so color-wise, I think they're pretty... I'm doing the overcoat for Marcel right now. Complicate it. Just a touch. I think I need it a bit brighter. A little less purple? We'll get there. We'll get there in the end. Who's your favorite character? Definitely Chilchuck. He is definitely my favorite character. He's just a silly little goober. He's just a silly little guy. He's just really good. 10 out of 10. Good character. Exactly describe why he's my favorite. Just that he is. And he's doing a good job. Can't wait for the next season so I can have more Chilchuck content. I don't even know where I'm having this cut off. Whee. luckily for Marcel, her hair is brighter than her coat. So I can definitely push this a bit more into the yellow. I'm just testing colors at the moment. I want the hair to look right. Do I need it more saturated? I want my hair looking green. Did very well for characters on character interactions. Yes, I agree. Chilchuck and Nomari, I can't spell, are my two favorites. Understandable. Mara is also pretty good. I think the only reason why she doesn't rank higher on my favorite character list is just because we don't see a lot of her. So I don't... Part of what makes a favorite character for me is the interactions they have with other characters. So if we don't see a lot of different character interactions, I have a harder time making them my favorite character. Since we get a lot of Chilchuck content. He got bumped up on my favorite character list. It probably helps that he just... Most of my favorite characters end up being the tired dad characters. Because I just love the interactions with all of the plucky young kid who's trying to save the day. And then they're just like... Child, please, you're going to die. If you do that, please stop. I beg of you, please stop. It's just probably my favorite character interactions are those characters, so it's probably why they're my favorite. Crow the Nightwing, are you agreeing with me or Alyssa? Read the manga, she's in it more. I read the entire manga, so I did see that she was in it more. I did watch the anime first, which cemented my favorite character from the beginning. Was it Chilchuck since day one? Yes. I'm just like thinking about all of my favorite characters now. Yeah, most of them are just the tired dads. They're just so silly. Wondering if I need to do a little bit of color correction on her dress. Wondering if this is a bit too purple. It might be. Let's magic wand this. Play around with it, see if we can get something else. Okay, so when I move the slider over towards more of the green side, which is where her dress normally sits, the colors look fine. So I think I did a good job with that. I think I just need to continue going, and the lighting will help bring it together. I can always change it later if it's not fitting the vibe. Dwarves are pretty fun. Which is why I'd say Senshi's probably my second favorite character. I don't know, something about Senshi, he's like pretty peak up there in character design. I just love how like round his eyes are. I think that's great. Like he looks like a normal person, normal without his helmet on, but there's something about his just round eyes and then his helmet together is it's just a good combo. He has so much knowledge and yet he looks so innocent. Since he would never he wouldn't hurt a fly except when he would, but other than that, he wouldn't hurt a fly. We're ignoring the time that Senshi killed a horse and killed a golem and killed. We're ignoring all of that. He wouldn't hurt a fly. I think part of the reason why he's one of my favorite characters is just because I vibe with him a lot. Because I too am concerned about my friends' nutrition and try and serve them well balanced and good meals that are nourishing. Yeah, one of the things me and my friends do when we're playing D&D is we'll have dinner and D&D night. So, depending on who's hosting, we'll go over to their house, make a meal, and then play D&D. Lately, we've been doing board games, but similar premise in the sense that we're hanging out and having food together. I think I need to search up this duck character that you're talking about. What are you talking about? Duck. Animal Crossing. What? What duck are you? Oh. Yeah, no, I see it. I see it. It's the eyes. He definitely looks like that duck. You're so right. He does look like Bill. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Now you need to find other characters. Now you need to find the other characters that the dungeon Meshi characters look like in Animal Crossing. I think we'll do Laios next, because I think he's the next furthest back besides Marcel. Oh wait, I didn't draw Marcel's. I didn't give her her red ribbon, nor color her sandals. I almost got ahead of myself there. We aren't finished. Need to draw her white pants and her sandals. I think her sandals and pants are the same color, so I think I can just continue using this one. Which is good. easier on me. Once we finish Marcel, then we'll move over to Laios. We're essentially going back to front with the characters so that they get colored in order. Might be a bit too saturated. We'll let the saturation come from the lighting. Then we'll use more saturated colors then. So one of the things I've been listening to a lot of this week, I finally listened to the Epic musical. That was pretty fun. Yeah, there's been a decent amount. Sorry, I'm typing at the same time. Typing and talking is a skill. Overall, I really enjoyed it. I think my favorite song from the entire thing is Love in Paradise. I just like the funky beat. It has a really funky beat. Oh, that is a lovely picture of Laios. That is horrifying. No wonder that monster ran away. It is a really fun project. I do hope it gets picked up by someone. Because the production value on it right now is pretty good. But I'm thinking that there's like a little level of push that would happen in its quality if it got picked up by Broadway or something. So it'd be really interesting to see how the project transforms if given the chance. That would be that one's pretty good too. That one's pretty good. All of the songs are pretty good. I don't think there's any that I dislike. There's just, they can't all be like the best bangers, the ones that you're like listening to over and over again. So they're all good. There's just a couple that stick out more, which is good. I also like Circe's song. I think that Puppeteer, yeah, that one's pretty good too. I think what really helps, like I was following the musical minorly through Wolfie, because I don't know, I found them, don't know their pronouns. I found them just when they were doing Minecraft content for Filza. That is too dark. And then I was just kind of following them through the fandom, so it didn't really matter what they were making. It was just that they're making something, and I liked that. So I didn't watch, I like consumed some of the content through them, but this is the first time I really like sat down and listened to the entire thing. The animatics really helped sell it for me, because it had me re-listening to songs that I initially didn't find to be as, like, you know how some songs when you listen to them you just like, you need to listen to it a couple times before it really starts sticking in your brain. Like God Games, that wasn't initially one of my favorite songs, but it grew on me as I listened to it a couple more times for the animatics. Also, you might not remember it, but that concept I was struggling to articulate and put on paper, I figured it out. I like it, so I'm glad you figured out the topic. I can't remember exactly what you were doing for that, but I'm glad you figured out whatever it was. It's always really satisfying when a problem you're working on comes together. How did they end up with 2 blonde people? Actually, there's 3 blonde people in this group. How did they end up with so many blonde people? So funny. Fallon, Marcel, Laios, they're different. Granted, they have different kinds of blonde hair, but like... That is not the usual number of blonde people in a group. At least naturally blonde. My understanding, they're all naturally blonde. It helps that two of them are siblings, yes. I'm glad you like it. Some of the animatics were beautiful. I like the twist to 3D on that one. Was unexpected and cool. I guess I didn't see the 3D one. I still have a lot of animatics to look through. I only started looking them, like deliberately looking through for them. I don't know. Like this week. Find them all eventually. We'll find all the good ones. Just have to be careful not to watch all of them at once because I don't want to accidentally make myself sick of the music. The least problematic siblings. Speaking of problematic siblings, what was up with their the host club? What was up with those? Why are the twins being weird? Why are they doing that? Stop it. They're siblings. That's better. The white was looking a little bit too bright there. Laios does not have a very interesting color palette going on. He's tans and grays and browns. Guess they can't all be visually, colorfully striking. I'll send you the link to in order of... Okay, sounds good. You can send it to me over on Discord. Okay. That's better. Might need to be a little less saturated. Yeah, that's better. What a math lad. Dang. That's some attention to detail right there. I was looking at his pants and they're a different color than his... They're a different color than his shirt. which is good. That makes it better to I'm just impressed that they're different colors, because sometimes you would make that the same color for simplicity's sake, just with coloring. I'm impressed though. His armor was looking a bit too green. I needed to move it on the cooler side. Yeah, they're a tannish green, cream color. I'm coloring it like a more green color because color theory. I want it to... Do not know what that was for, but okay. My computer made a sound. I'm not sure if you heard it. Yeah, I want it to have the shadows be affecting the colors. And then when I light things up, they can be a normal color. It will be grand. It would look good. Also has some armor underneath the boot. I forgot that. Tis... Wonder if that's comfy or uncomfy. Probably not the comfiest thing, just because I don't think good armor is usually very comfy to hang around in. And then round boots. That is a little bit too light. These are reddish color-ish, just because of color theory. That's fair. What am I clicking that is causing that noise? I think I keep accidentally hitting the Windows button or something. Yeah, color theory is essentially, depending on the environment, will depend on the colors. Usually if it's a more light or darker environment, I think I need to mess around with this hair again. It just depends on the environment. I guess my best advice for you would to definitely be, when you're doing color theory, to do some studies based on photography in different night scenes, and to also look at how other artists handle nighttime scenes to get an idea of how much color can change based on lighting. if you were in D&D or Dungeon Meshi, what would you be and what are your skills? Um, I think I would probably, for the thumbnails, I've been drawing myself as a halfling or half foot. So I'd probably be one of those. And as for one of my skills, I don't know, I guess if it's an applicable skill to being in a dungeon and cooking, or at least in this sense, I don't know if I would know all the monsters, but I would definitely know how to make a decent meal. I'm trying to think if I have any other applicable skills. I think it would be more of like just a different situation, what I would be interested in learning kind of thing. I'm not usually one to like run out and be like the first line of attack, so I'd probably have a more supportive role in the group. Yeah, I think that's what would end up happening. Messing around with the colors again because I'm not completely happy with them. I think that's a bit better. How long have we been streaming for? About 2 hours now? How many people do we have? Still a decent number. I guess we'll just continue going. Alright, I think next up is Chill Chuck. 11, yes. One last thing. Need to color in the leather bits. Get some belts. And whatnot. Is that a golden clasp? Nope, silver. Good on you, don't mix the gold and the silver together. Apparently that's a no-no. The tones aren't right. Okay, next up is Chill Chuck. So let's pull up an image of him. Love that the second result. It's been 2 hours now. I have to go in a minute. Thanks for the chill stream. Yeah, thank you. I'm glad you were enjoying the stream. Have a good rest of your day and whatever you end up doing. Would you ever consider making a pea crew? I think your squishy style would be so cute in one. I haven't thought about making one before, but could be interesting. I think my main issue is I just wouldn't have a... Technically, I have a website, but I don't... That's slightly... The website would be slightly different for that kind of thing, so I'm not... I don't think that would be something I'd do immediately, but it could be a good project for me trying out coding. I think that would be a pretty simple coding project, all things considered. Okay, so I think Chilchuck has a very similar shirt color as Laios. But I'll make it slightly different because I need it to stand out from it. So we'll make it a little bit lighter than Laios' shirt. That way they don't blend together. Chill Chuck looking stressed over here. Probably due to the fact that he's breaking one of his rules, which is to not to get in the way. The pose is very silly, but I have to wonder how they got into this situation. How did they get stuck being picked up? Oh, that is something to consider. Coloring in Chill Chuck's pants. Sunshi's hair might blend in with the background a little bit. That might be a bit of concern. Something to think about. Oh good, Chill Chuck's gloves are like a lighter brown color. I think they're the same brown color as his boots. That's what it looks like anyway. How do you go about shading metals? Mine look flat, plasticky. So one of the things that you need to be aware of when shading metals is you need to start pretty dark first. Because as much as when you look at metal, you do see a lot of the shiny stuff, but in order to get the shiny stuff to stand out, you need to give it a good foundation, something to stand out from, which is usually a darker color. The entire thing doesn't need to be dark, just something to be aware of. Like gold particularly, in order to get the really pretty color of gold to stand out, you have to color in. Gold has some, I wouldn't say ugly colors, but they're certainly not the bright colors you think of when you think of gold. So in order to get the pretty colors to stand out, you need to make sure you use some non-pretty colors, some less vibrant ones. So one thing that helps with color theory is once you have one color established in where you want it to be, it's much easier to meet the other colors. Because then you already have the tone kind of figured out. It's much easier to get the colors to look good when the tone is already there. Like, I'll color pick one of the colors, one of the shades that I already have chosen. And then I will push it more towards the tone that I want. But here, let me turn off the background real quick so you can get an idea of how dark these colors are. Because I think it'll just kind of illustrate better how it looks. Like this green color off just in the white, it's very dark, but it doesn't look that way in context with the other colors. That's a lot of what color theory is just working with the context of the other colors. Well, that's the one thing that helped me make it click for me, was just paying attention to how the other colors looked when against each other. Because really you're just trying to get it to look like the same color without actually using the exact color. You're just given the illusion of the correct color. That's partly why there was such a big fuss around the black and blue dress, and why some people thought it was white and gold. It was just a case of color theory that was really messing with people's brains. I also like when I can reuse colors. So that means I don't need to make a whole new color, and that makes the piece a bit more cohesive. Characters share colors with each other. Chillchuck's hair is very close to the color of his gloves. In fact, it almost looks the same color as his gloves. You're good. You're so good. You are fine for rambling, because if you're considering what you're doing rambling, then I'm definitely rambling. If you can tolerate and enjoy me rambling, then it's certainly fine for you to be. A little bit hypocritical of me to not want you rambling in the comments. If I didn't want you rambling, I would have just made a YouTube video instead of doing a live stream. Half the live stream is also just talking with the viewers. So I am very happy that you're interacting. I think what we'll do is we'll finish color blocking the characters, and then I will do the rendering for this piece next week. Sounds like a good plan. So I'm thinking, since she's gonna be a touch bit paler, just due to the fact this man's been living, he's been living underground for how many years now? At least a decade. This man doesn't see sunlight. Actually, let me look at his character model. He might be a bit on the tanner side. I don't know anymore. I was looking a lot of fan art and they like messing around with things. Let me look at him real quick. Senshi. Yeah, he's on the tanner side. Let's change that. Let's fix that. That wasn't correct. Let's make that different. that's better. How do you have motivation to do backgrounds? I absolutely hate drawing them and put it off as much as possible. So a thing that helped me with helping to draw them was I look at it from the sense of drawing the backgrounds like they're a character, and also in the sense that I want to give my characters context, and it helps sell a piece when they have an environment to exist in, and it just helps to tell the story a lot better. And I found that a lot of my dislike of drawing backgrounds to begin with was just because I had less practice with them versus drawing characters, because drawing characters at that moment was easier. So I wanted to do that more than drawing the backgrounds. But if you sit down, and it doesn't have to be your favorite thing in the world, but if you can sit down and practice a couple background studies, it could just be one or two. You don't have to do a bunch of them. Just do it every once in a while. Slowly over time, you'll get better at it, and it'll become less painful to do because you're not fighting your own skills in doing something. It's part of the reason I found that I disliked drawing backgrounds was just because I wasn't as good at them. So the better I got at it, the less I disliked it, and the less painful it became. So then I was more willing to do it. Sometimes when you draw the background, it helps sell the story I'm trying to tell. And since I'm trying to tell a good story, I'm more motivated to do it. But that's me from a professional illustrator standpoint. If you don't want to draw backgrounds and you do this for fun, you don't necessarily have to do it. If you want to and you genuinely want to be better at it, then yes, work at it, but you don't necessarily have to, because half the point of art is just having fun and enjoying doing what you're doing. There's just a select few, just a section of the populace that kind of have to work a little outside of their niche to work at it as a career. But if you're just doing it for fun, you don't necessarily have to do it if you hate it that much. But it's always good if you're trying to improve your skills to try out something that's a little outside of your wheelhouse, because I find that when I try something new, it helps my previous skills. I took a bunch of classes that didn't seem to have any, that weren't directly focused on my major, because one, I was interested in them and I wanted to genuinely learn, and two, because anytime I took a class that was working in a different medium, I found that it was easier to work in my preferred mediums because I learned something new. I think part of how I wouldn't say I'm the best at color theory, but how I improved so much at color theory was when I started doing more physical paintings with acrylic and then eventually oil. So trying out new things is definitely a way to improve on your art. Yeah, I don't know. I want to do this professionally someday, so I feel like I should start learning new skills, but the procrastination is real. Oil painting is scary. The only thing scary about oil painting is just the fumes. I find it's actually sometimes more enjoyable than acrylic, because my least favorite thing about acrylic paint is just how quickly it dries. So I was like, I want time to blend. And guess what? There's a paint that allows you to do that. It was so much fun because I could just put something down on the canvas and then blend on the canvas. So I enjoyed that aspect of it. The only thing, so if you, it's, I don't know, I feel like the only intimidating thing about the oil painting for me at least is just the fumes. You have to pay attention to those. Hence why I haven't done oil painting recently. It's been too cold outside for me to paint. I used to, because I would do it in college. It was easy because I could just go to the third floor. But I no longer have access to ventilated spaces, so now if I want to do an oil painting, I need to do it outside. Also, all of my Gamsol evaporated, so I need to buy more Gamsol. I went to a painting class on Monday. We painted birds. Ooh. Painting birds is fun. I have found that a lot of the gifts I give to my grandparents end up being painted birds. I don't know. They just give me the vibe that they want a bird. What kind of birds did you paint? Me personally, the birds I tend to paint are the little songbirds. Chickadees are my favorite. They're probably the smallest songbird, but my sibling told me they're probably also one of the smarter ones because they have like a really intricate language. They also act as a warning tool for other birds and animals in the area. They rely on chickadees to inform them when there's danger. I think that's really neat. Ooh, nice. Crows are pretty fun. Guess the real question is, was it a realistic crow, or did you cartoon him? You know, I'm thinking about the time that we watched Senshi, and I'm like wondering if I ever saw him like raise his arms above his head. Because I know this man has armpit hair, but I'm trying to remember if I've seen him. Generally do not know. They might have not drawn him with armpit hair, which would kind of Huh, alright. Maybe I'll have to watch through the show again, specifically to just see what character design aspects they added to Senshi. I love the dark colors and how I can get away with adding dark blue and dark purple instead of just black. Yeah, and that's like one of the good things about painting, and one of the ways that you can level it up is like learning that you can use other colors to substitute other colors and they'll still look like the color that you're trying to paint. Yeah, I don't even own I don't even own black paint in my acrylic or oil paint because I usually mix my own because it ends up ends up looking more dynamic than straight from the tube. Straight from the tube, black can be very flat looking. Oh, I forgot his beard wasn't completely masked off. Need to have a touch of care there. We're almost finished with color blocking Senshi. Just need to get his sandals, his horns on his helmet are like a yellowish color. So that will be green in this lighting. What color should the suit be? Maybe like a reddish color? Something that can tie into Marcel's bow? Not completely that red of a color, but something similar in tone. That way they match. I have black paint, but more often than not, I use deep purple with a little bit of black, or brown, because especially in painting, black is a little scary. Yeah, black can be, depending on what you're using it for, it can take over a piece. Glad you're enjoying the illustration. I am also enjoying this. I'm glad it is turning out. His cuffs are brown. I was like wondering why it wasn't looking right. Because I didn't look at the reference, and his cuffs are brown. It's not silver. Tis leather. Alright. Let's fix that after I finish the trim. I was wondering what was looking off. That explains it. Better. Okay, so I am covering up my own reference. Bottom of his sandals are brown, and then it is silver there. Okay. I think it's a lighter silver color too. Yep. Yeah, some of my favorite colors to mix for getting a black is ultramarine and cyan. No. I'll think of the color. It's like a reddish brown color. That one's pretty good. An interesting one is alizarin crimson and what's the green? There's a specific name for the green. I'm not thinking of phthalo blue. Phthalo. It's like phthalo green, I think. Yeah, that one's pretty good too. It just kind of depends on what tone you want for the black when deciding. What is your least favorite thing to draw / paint? I think my least favorite thing would probably be buildings. Like, I'm getting better at it, but sometimes the perspective still throws me. Senshi's paw is... Oh good, it's lighter than his beard. I say that because I want it to stick out from the background. And I was worried that it wasn't going to. But if it's lighter than his beard, that'll be a touch bit easier. I think buildings are not my favorite thing to draw. I much prefer my natural landscapes when I'm doing backgrounds. I find them easier and more forgiving. Buildings can be a bit harsh. For nature, if you like mess around with it, it's like it's easier to be a bit more free-flowing with it and have mistakes look intentional. But if you're drawing buildings, depending on the style, they can be very unforgiving. Alright. I just need color for these little towels. I think I'll use blue so we get it tied in back into Marcel. I could probably do like a little patterned cloth too. Because I feel like Senshi would be the type of person to own cute cookware by having like patterned towels and whatnot. Also help make it visually different. I could give him a little duck towel. I don't know if it'll be completely obvious to people it's a duck, but duck towel. Okay, and then color for the soup. I'll desaturate that a bit. And can maybe make it a similar color as Marcel's bow. Do you like the first variation of the intro theme song thing or the second one? Are you specifically talking about Minecraft? Oh, you're Dungeon Meshi. Yeah. Sorry, I was thinking of the music we were listening to. I think it's the second version. I like that one more. That one I've definitely listened to on repeat. Because I think it's fun. Which one's your favorite? Maybe slightly different color for the soup. go. And I'll just make sure I have all of the little bits colored in. I think we're good for color blocking for the night. I'd have to re-listen to the intros again, but I'm pretty sure the second one's my favorite. But both are good. Alright, let's save this, because I haven't saved in 3 hours. Alright, well, I am so glad that people are enjoying the stream and the illustration. I had a lovely time hanging out with you guys, and we will finish this up next week. It'll be at the same time, 8:30, so if anyone wants to catch next week's stream, feel free. And I hope you guys have a lovely rest of your day. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Goodbye.